Hello, all you cool orcs and goblins. This is Hugh the Lizard coming with you for your Week 6 recap. Sadly, Innovation's unable to join me again. It feels like every week we're figuring out a new kink in the system. This week's kink is that uh, Innovation can't join me, and last time he was able to give me notes, but I don't have any notes. It's my fault, not Innovation. I don't have his notes and his videos. So, sadly, the discussion is once again going to be very much focused on the three games I watched, with not so much in depth discussion for the other four games. I feel bad about that because I know that if I was one of the other ones not being discussed as much, I'd be a little bummed out. But at this point, it's we don't do it this week or we do it this way because I can't do it over the weekend and can't really do it early next week. So this is unfortunately what it is. Hopefully, you guys still enjoy it. So diving right in, we have one of the ones that I actually didn't watch: the Children of Dune versus the Face Planters. So given I have no idea how that game went, 2-1 for the Children of Dune. Let's just look straight at the teams and see what we can glean from the information that we have. Uh, Children of Dune had 31 blocks versus the Face Planters. Must have been interesting for Children of Dune to have that many get that many hits. It's not something that it's not often that Skaven get to outblock someone. And yeah, looking at the teams, it seems like the blocking paid off quite a bit. They caused 5 KOs and 2 casualties. The Children of Dune. Uh, no, I never know how to read this. It's kind of confusing with the plus and the minus, the plus and the minus. They should organize it in a different way. I feel like maybe it makes more sense to other people. Oh, I can see the expulsions. Children of Dune must have been doing quite a bit of fouling, so maybe that's why the numbers are a little confusing. Yeah, so it says that caused 2 casualties, but the face planters suffered 5, so that's either failing dodges out, or think they only record the as a casualty caused if it's done with S for SPP. Um, yeah, that'll fit with what we can see in the rest of it. Anyway, moving on to the teams. Yeah, the face planters are looking quite mangled, actually. Uh, the yeah, the MNG on the loner lineman doesn't matter, but this is a big loss, broken neck for next week, and losing a double guard for the lineman kind of hurts. Agi busts on damaged back. I I wouldn't keep it, but I know of other elf players who would keep that. So I think that one is something that could be debated. Um, like you have kick, you have wrestle. Like there's still like things you can do with that player. And given that your team is rather thin on the ground already, maybe keeping it around for a little longer makes sense. But I would think ultimately that player is not going to be around for too much longer. Um, Face Planter's got no level ups, which, on top of the damage done to the team, must kind of feel bad for them. I could never play an AV7 team. Like, I tried it, and I just, watching my poor innocent players get massacred always feels bad to me. Uh, but the AV7 on the Skaven side turned out a lot better. No long-term damage. Couple badly hurts. But yeah, the team should be fully there for next game. You have the thrower with sure hands and accurate. After that, guess you get double. You do long arm. What's a good next level skill? Maybe safe throw. Maybe you give him block so that he has more utility in other situations than just getting the ball. The gutter runner has strip ball and wrestle. I would add tackle to that. And the lineman, you already have a dirty player, you already have kick. Another wrestle probably doesn't hurt. Um, Block, I think, is also an option. If you want to be really spicy, you can have a second dirty player. Let's see what he gives him. So strong arm. So he rolled the double for the strong arm. That's useful. Dauntless. Actually, that's a well, I didn't consider that, but I think that's a really actually useful because then you can turn those red die into single die, and then you have wrestle and strip ball. So unless they have sure hands, that ball is getting loose. I think that. Yeah, I think Dauntless makes more sense than tackle. There's still an argument for tackle, but I like Dauntless there. And he rolled a double for the guard, so that's super useful. You definitely take that double. Okay, 2 doubles in one set of rolls. That's very nice for Kabasta. Okay, so I don't think there's anything more to say about face planters. Maybe he fired that guy, so we can look at that. Yeah, looks like he did fire the Agi. The Agi 3. What game has been played? Just so I know. Okay, the Flaming Zones versus the Bourbon Street Brawlers. Yeah, this team is like they still have the core. So they just need a few, like basically the rest of the season to catch back up and be able to have some linemen around that aren't loners. But the core of the team is still looking pretty solid. But yeah, they've definitely suffered a fair bit this season. And then there's always like the with a TV of 1510, when you have these sort of players, you're pretty like having a wizard is really super handy for this kind of team. So I'd say this team isn't dead, is basically where I'm getting at, but has definitely suffered. Okay, so next up we have the Chicago Bullshite versus the Ondolende BBC. Here we go. Okay, so right off the bat, we have an attempt at the ball by BBC. As you can see, this is turn 1 for the BBC. Leap's a great skill. Double skulls. Doesn't get it. I think maybe strip ball on if you're going to use that player for that kind of thing. Maybe strip ball would have been better than sure feet. But yeah, it's just sort of unfortunate that that didn't work even with the reroll and the double skulls. So blocking off the ball. So they blocked off the leaper that came in there. It was pretty straightforward, and the BS was able to cage up. From there, the BS was firmly in control of the ball, even managing a vanity pass when they got closer to the end zone. But there was a one turn where they got a little sloppy and left the ball open for a sack. Has to use the reroll on the leap though. And doesn't make the go for it. So that was another bit of bad luck for the BBC trying to generate a sack on the BS. Then BS runs it like basically the next turn, which is turn 8, leaving the BBC one turn to score, but the luck on the BBC kind of turned around a bit and they got a riot. So the BBC now has 2 turns to score. And we're reasonably well set up, I think, for it. But then kind of blew it with the snakes. I'm really bad for this too. Like, this is one of the other things where I'm going to be like, oh, this is what you should have done when I do the exact same thing. If he had moved a scoring threat up before he picked up the ball, the score would have still been possible. Like, with it, basically by picking up the ball before he moved anyone forward, he killed the score. So this is something to keep in mind. Again, like especially with my lizard men, when my instinct is always just to move everything up with the ball instead of pushing things forward. I'm very bad at doing this. This is something I have to keep in mind too. But yeah, I think if he had moved a player forward, then the play would have still been on. Second half opens with a blitz that allows the BBC to split the elf from and pressure the ball. But they left a big hole in their pressuring attempt and their defenses that BBC was able to see and take full advantage of. You can see that the team is split up, but he passes it a little iffy when you have long legs, but it gets through. And from there, there's not really much that BS could do to stop the score. So we're now looking at 1-1. And I should have mentioned that the that the BBC had a fireball, or a wizard rather, which they used great success here. A casual 2 removals, an armor break, and then the scatter's not ideal given how well it went, but well enough that it's not that hard for them to knock this player off. The scatter into the ball was a good plan because it lets them kind of bounce into the hands of one of the elves and left them vulnerable to the sack, which they managed with the reroll. Yeah, sometimes just scattering the ball and seeing what happens can pay off. Yeah, they were lucky that time to catch the ball, but unlucky that they're not able to escape with the leap out, leaving the ball back on the floor. The Kislev decide to show these elves how it's done. Leap in, grab the ball, and toss it to, wouldn't call it safety, but relatively safe. And unfortunately, the sack with Wrestle does not accomplish what they wanted to. Yeah, so the ball carrier escapes and hang on, my handwriting is terrible. Yeah, so the ball carrier escapes and kind of tries to to wait an extra turn before scoring. BBC has a sack available, but they decide not to take it. I'm not totally sure why. Maybe on Discord there can be a discussion about that because I was very confused. There was a very clear sack available. May not have worked, but then again, very much could have worked. So BS scores, and it's now 2-1 in favor of the Bolsheviks. Here is the 2-turn attempt. Again, like moving your players forward, I think would be helpful because that pass was a little, heart in your throat. But in this case, given what he's trying to do with it, I understand that he didn't want to move that player too much forward before the pass off. But yeah, if there had been a failure on the play, then this attempt would be over. So he moves to lock down the team and uses a bolt of his own because it's a wizard stadium. So they both had a wizard. Comes in, scatters the ball, stays on his feet, which I think was the right move, and then bounces right into the lap of the bear with tentacles. But doesn't want to leave it there, so he leaps in, and I believe does he pass or does he stay there? I forget. It's been a while since I watched this game. Yeah, he stays there. And yeah, so that's pretty much that game. I will say that both Innovation and I have mentioned quite a few times about Bullshite's offense, how he always seems rushed. Excuse me. He always seems rushed and a little awkward on offense, and I saw a big improvement with him this game. So tap the hat to him. Yeah, I felt like he took his time a lot more. I felt like he made controlled progress rather than just running forward and leaving his team behind. I felt like the team moved together and worked more as a team to cover the ball. And like his entire first offensive drive, he only gave up one easy sack on the ball, which wasn't successful. So I think that was very good. Glad to see players improve. I hope he keeps it up. I think I mentioned on the Discord that sometimes it's hard to retrain your brain, but you play like that a few times and it'll become second nature. Looking at the team, we have 2 level ups on Bullshite with 1 lineman MNG, but he has such a large bench, 3-player bench, that he won't miss that player too much. On the BBC side, probably the player, like if he was going to pick one player to have an MNG for next week, it would be that player, and everything else is badly hurt. So that's good. No level ups. Not a lot of players really close to leveling up, really, if you look at it. You just have the one lineman who's MNG, who is 1 away. You have the blitzer, who is a rookie, 5 away, but the core of the team are all developed to a point where it'll be a while before you see any more major level ups on this team. So let's look at the Bullshite level ups. You have a catcher with dodge, maybe sure hands to make him into a retrieval piece. Yeah, I don't think he has any more sure hands on this team. And the blitzer, I think I'm pretty sure they have yeah, because the other blitzer has strength. skill, so maybe Mighty Blow on that Blitzer. Tackle, he has a lot to tackle, but having more, I think also having another one that's more mobile than the Tame Bear actually, I think would be useful for him. So if I was him, I would go for either tackle or Mighty Blow. Leaning towards tackle. So let's see what he got. Oh, he got an Agi up for that dodge catcher, which is even better than sure hands. He can give him sure hands next time, and he's a pretty good retrieval piece then. Because yeah, having the Agi 5 with sure hands, you can pick up and tackle zones pretty easily. And yeah, so he rolled a double. Do blitzers come with Kislev blitzers come with dodge, or sorry, agility access? Because it seems like he has a lot of dodge on these blitzers. So if those are all doubles, then that's pretty great. Having those blodge pieces, I think, is pretty useful for him. So yeah, this team is just looking better and better, I feel like, as the season's going. And yeah, having that retrieval piece in development, I think, fills the hole that innovation I talked about in the pre-cap that was explained by the number of deaths that he suffered. Okay, so the dead air is very unprofessional, I know, but I'm not a professional, so there will be occasional dead air. So next we have the Exploding Skulls versus the Big Dippers. I'm also trying to go through this quickly because I have, and I think I mentioned that oh no, I didn't mention my wife needs this computer for work. She's out on a chore right now, which will take about an hour, so I really don't have much time. I'm hoping to get through this as fast as I can. The Exploding Skulls versus the Big Dippers, which goes to the Exploding Skulls. I think I called this for Big Dipper last time. I feel like that was like on the back of Exploding Skulls doing that handoff that prevented a win for them. So that might have been why I was thinking that, but upon reflection, this is not that surprising of a win, given that, yeah, Claw on Lizard Men can be very brutal. And we can see that Exploding Skulls broke armor 20 times, caused 6 KOs and 3 casualties, which can be very crippling for a Lizardmen team. I think more so than a lot of other teams. Yeah, but most of it was against Skinks, so that's not too bad. The badly hurt on Ketchup Viserys would be really like bad depending on how early it came, but you can afford to lose a few Skinks. Even though he had one left, you just need one to score, and it's his best skink. So I don't think it would be that bad of a game in terms of taking casualty. I noticed that Chip, the guard skink, yeah, maybe I kind of wish I'd watched this game because I want to see more of that guard skink, what happened to him. But yeah, it's not surprising that a piece like that gets badly hurt, especially against a team that has lots of tackle, although not so much lots of Mighty Blow. But I suspect that there's going to be Mighty Blow now on Grimgold, the claw blocker. And the Bull Centaur maybe get Mighty Blow. Yeah, I don't know exactly what you do with that. I think there's a lot of different ways you can go. I'm not enough of a Chorf player to really say what the best thing there is, so I'll just take a look. He hasn't taken that level yet, but yeah, he got Mighty Blow on the Claw. I'd be interested to know if he rolled a double or if he's just trying to think himself what would he want there. Don't think he needs guard. Mighty Blow is a possibility, given that for a Chorf team, there's not a lot of Mighty Blow on it. Yeah, I don't think you need tackle either, because you have the safety bull already. Yeah, so I don't know what you do. Maybe Mighty Blow. There's an argument to be made for sure hands to make him in case of emergency kind of ball carrier, but I don't know if that's optimal. Okay, moving along on the crisp pace here, we're at Soul Power and Rex Lupus. Again, that's a team that I do have notes for. So just pull up the video. Okay, so background information in terms of inducements. Soul took a wizard and had a bribe. Though I guess I have to take a moment to take a breath for the clip I'm about to show. I found it the most shocking moment in Blood Bowl history. I've been playing Blood Bowl for about a year now, and I haven't seen anything that sort of blew my socks away as much as this did. You have the blitz on the dump off ghoul, and it worked. It worked perfectly. It was exactly what it was meant to do. I saw it, and I like one reason why we have only one computer now, and my wife Nisa's computer, is because I spat milk all over it and destroyed it in the pure shock and amazement that dump off actually worked. But yeah, I think working once. Yeah, I'm still against dump off. I'm still very thoroughly against it. It was also disappointing to see that Soul didn't take full advantages of the good fortune of dump off finally working. Instead of making the ball safe, he focused on hits, which I think is a mistake that a lot of Blood Bowl player makes. But it was very, very bright light obvious to me this time, just because he lucked out so well on having the dump off work so perfectly, and it just didn't take full advantage of it, as he allowed a very straightforward sack to take place, especially given that he has tackle on that strength 4 werewolf. And the other werewolf, who was way in the back for safety, maybe a little too far back, but it is a werewolf, comes in and marks the ball. The dump off hero can't get, well, I don't understand why he didn't stay on the ball. The pickup still would have worked, I think, but still. Bottom line is that Soul was able to recover the ball. But the wolf, he's not quite safe where he is. The wolf bases him again, but the ghoul gets away, and he does give up another sack, though. So this is sort of like the second sack that he gave up that was not totally necessary to give up. there's just a little bit of dice rolling that Rex has to do to get into position to do this sack. And it works again. Dump off works again. He took the knock to the chin in order to make that dump off pass to someone who's even in tackle zones and makes the dodge out to score. So you could make a very clear case that that touchdown wouldn't have happened without dump off. So there you go. Having dump off bought you one touchdown. I think we'd have to go back and look at the record, but I'm pretty sure it's cost you at least one touchdown, probably more. But hey, I admit it when it works, it's fun. It can be really frustrating for Rex because he knocks the goal down, ball is loose, but the ball ends up in your opponent's hands anyway. And there's not really much he could have done about it. So yeah, I mean, like, it's great when it works. It just, like, it can be really great when it works. It just, I feel like when you're dealing with an Agi 3 team, it does not work often enough to make it worth it. But hey, it works this time, so won't eat crow, but we'll acknowledge that sometimes, yes, it can work. So now with that score, Rex has 2 turns to score, but that becomes 1 turn because of a riot. So we go straight to the second half. This is Rex's ball. There's a little, see, look, the ghoul got a little jealous and said, hey, look, I can throw too, and then completely screwed the pooch. Yeah, I feel like you can do vanity passes in the back, but when you do a vanity pass that close to your opponent, just one bad scatter makes it super easy for them to recover. The hero of the day, the dump off ghoul, fails to pick up, however, giving the Rex a little bit of reprieve from their mistake. The ghoul says, haha, I can pick up balls, and rolls the 5+ he needs to pick up the ball and escapes, and reasonably safe where he was. So Soul does try to get at the ball a few more times, but he can't really generate the dice he needs to get it done. Rex scores, leaving Soul 4 turns to score with no rerolls. And the score is 1-1. Oh yeah, and it starts to rain. So he did manage to get up. Can dump off work again? No, this time it does not. And bounces the ball right into the werewolves. I like to imagine that kind of thing, how that would look if it happened in real life, where like a werewolf just smacked a ghoul, the werewolf tried to pass it off, but then it bounced on the floor and landed right in the werewolf's hand. I think that's kind of a fun moment. Bolts comes out, and I have to admit, I was at this point saying, like, what's he saving that bolt for? But he was obviously saving the bolt to make that 5+ pick up and score. But this does leave still enough time for a 1 turn attempt by Rex. And this is why Frenzy can be so great for 1 turning. See, he's getting him there, and he's not even using his blitz yet. I really liked how he developed this. Yeah, 1 turn is going to be really fun to watch, and I thought this was a really great one. Gets him right where he needs to be, and like, it's going to be hard for him to catch that ball. helps to get that blitz to get that zombie off, but still it's going to be tough, and the ball's not in a great position. So he's going to basically have to roll like 2 5+s in a row, or that was a 6+ that he failed on the reroll. So I would say a really well-developed one turn. He ultimately needed a lot of luck to get the ball to where it needed to be. So it didn't work. So let's look at the teams. Okay, I guess my overall thoughts is, yeah, dump off works, but it's still terrible, and you should just fire that ghoul. It is fun when it works. I will say that again, just to show that I'm not completely heartless. So the non-dump off ghoul levels, but gets niggle. So I guess unless he gets something really interesting, he's gonna get fired, especially on a team that, like, the ghouls don't have the coverage of an apothecary. So a niggle on a ghoul, I feel like, is particularly bad. The strength 4 movement plus tackle werewolf is getting a level. I think sidestep would be pretty great on him. We'll see what he got him. Oh, he rolled another movement up. So that's a movement 10 werewolf. Oh, you know what? This isn't the strength 4. The strength 4, it's on the other team. Yeah, this is... Problem with mirrors is you get really confused pretty easily, but still, movement 10 makes doing that one turn a lot easier. You can develop him up to 76 to get the sidestep, and yeah, he's a pretty good player, I would say. Movement 10 can be amazing. And the ghoul, Niggle Ghoul, he hasn't done anything yet with. I suspect he's going to fire him, which will mean that the dump off ghoul will probably stick around for a little bit too, but you can't have everything in life. Rex Lupus, yeah, they're the one with the strength 4. The only level is on the ghoul. The zombie suffers armor break. You probably fire him. Probably. Yeah, you have another player that's like 1 SPP away from getting dirty player. You don't really need to keep him around when he's AV7, just gonna get the crap beaten out of him, especially by teams that particularly fear dirty player. He's just got a big old target on his head. The ghoul with Russell, don't really need another tackle on this team. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. If the ghoul is the ball carrier, which he kind of looks like he is, I don't think Russell's the best skill for him. We've given him block instead. So I don't really know where he's going to go with this player. So I have no idea what he takes. So let's just take a look. Not clear. Oh, I guess the Agi4 ghoul. Is this the one who's played their game? No. So I guess that Agi4 ghoul that I forgot existed was in there, and I guess Wrestle. Yeah, I'm kind of confused here, to be honest. What skill did he give? Did he not take the skill? Is this the right player? Did I click on the wrong team? I clicked on the wrong team. No, I didn't. Rex Lupus. Vitus yeah. I'm a little puzzled. He should have 2 skills, and he only has 1. Did he just not take the skill? I don't know. Tell me what happened in Discord because I'm really puzzled by that. Okay, moving on to the El Imperio versus the Flaming Zons. So Flaming Zons, because they play their game, when you look at their team, would be a bit of a spoiler for next week, but that's okay. You're watching this for the hard hitting analysis and not for me just telling you what you could easily find out by yourself, right? That's how that works. Okay. So a dead blocker. That's a dead blocker. That's unfortunate. Guard and Mighty Blow. That's a decent workman-like blocker that you kind of hope will get Claw. So I guess he can come back to life some other time here at Claw. His how much do blockers cost? Does he have enough money? Oh, he only won 20k with that, so I don't know if he'll have enough money. We'll take a look in a moment. He levels up a Hobgoblin, and I feel like Dirty Player is missing on this team, so I hope he gave him Dirty Player. El Grand Duke de Alba. Is that the Grand Duke of Scotland? I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know if you give him Pylon because I don't know if you want 2 Pylons. Maybe you do. You're hoping for double for Claw. Maybe Stand Firm. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of having teams with too much Pylon. I feel like it's a good to have one of those, but if you have too many, then you pile on, I think, a little too much, especially with Guard, which is very useful to have Guard on your feet versus on the ground. So I feel like Guard and Pylon in ways kind of work against each other, that having the Pylon makes the Guard a little less useful, and having the Guard makes the Pylon a little less useful. So I wouldn't do that twice as far as him. I think I'd get Stand Firm. Let's see what he did. He took Dauntless, which I think is a fair approach to take. I think that's the second time this recap that I forgot Dauntless exists. I'm a Lizardman player. I don't need Dauntless. I'm Strength 4, or I'm someone who just doesn't ever hit. But yeah, Dauntless is a reasonable choice. You come up against a team with lots of Strength 4 that can come really handy. Gives you a little bit of an option. If you have one guard guy in there with him, you can hit with the 2 die. And he gave him the Dirty Player. So yeah, I think both are good choices. Let's look at the other team. Oh man. Yeah, I wish we had the video for this one, because there was definitely a few deaths here. The lineman by itself, you don't really cry about, but when you lose the lineman and the blitzer, you want to replace the blitzer sooner. So you're going to be down a lineman and a blitzer for a while. Luckily, he had enough bench. Well, no, actually, he's missing an 8 and a 9. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, so he's going to have some loners. That's unfortunate. No levels. Oh, and, well, the Agi on the Black Orc blocker, that's fine. You can live with that. It sucks for next game, especially given the other casualties you took, but that's not long-term crippling to the team. That has some good sort of development. It's not like you get the beginnings of a good team. It's not quite there yet. You need a little bit more development going on here, but there are some fun things. You got the Agi 4 block movement 6 lineman, which I think is a really handy tool for Orc team to have. And then the Agi 4 blitzer. So yeah, I feel like long term this is going to develop into a better team, but it's not quite there yet. And with these 2 deaths, it kind of sets it backwards a little bit. Let's see how the team. This was the one that I think already played their game, so we'll see how it's looking as of right now. Oh, that Black Orc also has a niggle. Ooh, I don't know. That's a tough one, whether to get rid of that. That's tough. I don't know. I mean, he is close to becoming level 3, and Black Orcs just take forever to level up, so I feel like you want to keep it, but you come up against Claude, that Black Orc is going to be a big old target. Like, that Black Orc is not going to live long, so it might be worth just developing another Black Orc instead. But then, yeah, I get not wanting to do that, so I get keeping it. Probably the best move is to get rid of it, but I get keeping it. And how many players does he have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So he has a full roster again. He probably spent some cash to get a lineman. Or did he get a new blitzer? Yeah, he got a new blitzer. So that's at least him rebuilding after the game that he had the previous week. Okay, Bourbon Street Brawlers versus Jeanne d'Arc fans. This is the last game that I have videos for, and it's a bit of a long video because there's just a lot that happened in this game. Let me pull up. Okay, so to start off with, the Dark fanboys take a wizard and a bribe, though the bribe is used pretty early on, so it doesn't have a lot it doesn't affect the play that much throughout the game. You have the classic elves. Yeah, we can pretty much score whenever we want to, especially the pelfs. And stick in the corner. Do leave themselves available to get based, though I think he was too far away to do the blitz. But basing with a diving tackle can be troublesome. Tries to get rid of him, but doesn't get rid of him. So he goes in front, like he goes towards the zone, and I guess he does that to make it so that there's like even an additional minus to the dodge. But as you're about to see, he would have been better off moving to below the ball carrier, and you will see why in a second. Because you can't forget that the ball carrier can also hit. Granted, if it had been like a 1 and 9, that would have been pretty crappy. But really, like the 1 and 9, he had a re-roll, better odds than if he had tried the dodge. Even if he had tried the dodge with the diving tackle underneath him. I haven't done the math to work that out, but it sounds right. So let's just go with me being right. You can prove me wrong if you want, but I'm pretty sure that's right. The next drive opens with a blitz against the Bourbons. Blitz in favor of the Bourbons, and the Bourbons get under the ball and manage to catch it. So on the Brits drive, the Pro Elves now have the ball. They come in for the blitz. I think they make this a 3-die. Yep. And they get the POW. Piles on to... Oh, no, sorry. It's just some damage layer. They get the counter blitz. Red die. Successful red die works. Pretty decent to use a red die there, given that the other guy has wrestle and you have block. So you're bringing him down. Like, he'll have the choice of, like, yeah, he'll probably want to use the wrestle. And my wife is coming in, so I have to hurry up. Does the counter hit?
What are you talking about?
Oh, hang on. He does a badly hurt against a pretty key player and decides to Appo it. Because what could possibly go wrong with Appoing badly hurts? Nothing, I think. It's going to be perfectly fine. You get one more sack attempt that doesn't work. But yeah, that was like a sack a turn there for a little bit. He escapes up the field, but doesn't quite have the guys there to cover up the final sack that's going to be made here. I think he could have done a little bit better if he had moved down the blocker down one and alignment over one. Probably wouldn't have made a big difference, but would have made it a little bit harder, I think. It's always unfortunate to fail to go for it when you have a lot of other dice to roll. And he gets the one die. That doesn't succeed. Actually managed to get him a little closer to the end zone. I would have followed up there, just to make him roll dice. Like, he was still based against someone that could hit him, so he's not like protecting his player. But yeah. So from there, the Bretts score, leaving the Pro Elves down with 2 turns to score a touchdown in the first half, and the score is 1-1. Here he's actually done what I was talking about in other games, where he's moved his players up before he went to pick up the ball, which kept the game alive a little bit more. But the fact that he failed that pickup allowed a little bit of pressure from the Brits. You can be a little concerned about that guy, but it's okay. You're gonna pick up the ball and throw it away, so at least you're not gonna suffer a turnover and suffer a score. But then he rolled a double skull for the first dice he rolled, so that's essentially 4 ones in a row. That puts him in a much more difficult position because the Brits can use their own wizard. And then blitz away the Pro Elf that's touching the ball. They bring in this blocker for assists, and this Knight from the back is going to come in and do the hit with going for it. Gets him down, and the Knight over there has the movement to score with 2 goes for it. So the Pro Elves are going into the Brett's drive down by 1 score. Oh, something is happening. Hang on. Okay. So the first few turns of the second half, the Bretts are playing really carefully, and I think doing a good job covering the ball. But then they get a little bit too aggressive with like their desire to get more removals, and so they move their ball carrier over to what looks like it's going to be safety. I thought the peasant was going to move over a square so that they can protect the ball carrier, but instead he comes over here to get the foul against Brandy, who is a juicy target, I admit, but you give up sacks in the ball. If you keep giving up sacks in the ball, eventually you're gonna lose the ball. But fortunately, he is not suffering that here. Oh wait, he does. Sorry. I guess they do recover the ball, so long term it doesn't hurt them too badly, but yeah, it was unfortunate that he left that open. Um, yeah, going into this game, watching it, I knew that Brandy was going to suffer a perm. Every time he was hit, I thought, is this it? Every time he was fouled, especially by that peasant, I thought, okay, this is it. I kept waiting for it and waiting for it and waiting for it, and it finally happened. This is how the Great One was finally brought down to his knees, trying to dodge away from a peasant, eating up a reroll as he did it. Yeah, that's a really nice player. It's really too bad that he lost that. With Brandy gone, the Flaming Dude decides that Kaneki doesn't need his team anymore, and he causes 2 more deaths, which I recorded, but I won't show because I need to finish this up quickly. So let's go to the team. Yeah, you got these 2 deaths. This team, like, that's a really nice blitzer that he's lost to death. That's a useful utility lineman that he lost, and then he's lost Brandy. So I feel like this team is coming out a lot weaker this week due to that to these casualties. And he had no level ups. The Bretts came out without any damage. The Blitzer with the Agi 4 leveled up. Let's see what he got. Oh, another Agi. So that's an Agi 5 Blitzer. That's really awesome. That's going to be a tough piece to deal with. With an AV7 though, he's going to be another guy who's going to be a bit of a target. But like, if he can keep him around, then that's a great recovery piece. That's a great like passing piece. That's a lot you can do with that. Okay, last game we have the Nuffle Ek Mechana versus Barry and the Lads. Going through it quickly, Nuffle Ek Mechana, they lose an agility 4 Blitzer. That's unfortunate for them. Yeah, that's the Agi 3 teams that can have an agility 4 can be so handy, and that kind of sucks that they lost that player. The Ogre levels up. Hopefully he'll get something good to go with that. Hoping for a double there. The Blitzer with block guard. You might want to give him Mighty Blow. There's a lack of tackle on this team, so you might want to give him tackle, but I think Mighty Blow is what you want to do. And the guard catcher is MNG, which is unfortunate for next game. So let's see what he got. The Ogre got break tackle, so not a double. May want to think about recycling the Ogre at this point, given that he has plenty of other guard on his team. But you can keep him for now, I suppose. And what was the other player? Leveled up. Oh, yeah, got Mighty Blow. Oh, yeah, definitely Mighty Blow if he's Agi 2. I think that's definitely the right call. Okay, last team. Tam. Oh no, this hits me harder than Brandy did. That's really unfortunate. The passing Beastman. That's sad. This makes the team a lot less fun to watch and probably less fun to play. That's really too bad. It's Friday night, so everyone pour one out for Tam. Poor Tam. He will no longer be amongst us, but he will always be in our hearts. And good news for Steve is that Steve leveled up. So let's see what Steve got. Let's see, does he roll something nice to make the bitterness less bitter? He got a claw. That is a reasonable thing to do, given he has only one other claw. And he's not going to be passing to him anymore because his passer is gone. His passer has passed away. Yeah, so that's this week. Just quickly look at the standings as of week 6, and then we'll close it up. My wife is being very patient with me. I want that to be known by all. Yeah, so still pretty tight for week 6. You still got a lot of players that can, a lot of coaches that can get into the top 4 to do playoffs and Challenger Cup. Uh, Chicago Bolshoi, with their loss this week, have lost a little bit of their elevation in the standings, but are still holding on to first place. And I feel confident that they will be at least in the top 4. But yeah, this is uh, still a pretty exciting race. I would say everyone from Robin up, I think, is still very much in the race for top 4, with El Imperio and Burying the Lads being outside chances, but still not completely out of it. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. Uh, have fun and good luck.